In the era of Buimi, there lived a young samurai, Tomotada, in the service of the daimyo of Noto. He was native of Echizen, but had been accepted at a young age into the place of the Lord of Noto, where he found himself a good soldier and a good scholar as well, and enjoyed the favor of his prince, handsome and amiable. He was admired also by his fellow samurai. One day the Lord of Noto called for Tomoda and sent him on a special quest to the Lord of Kyoto. Being ordered to pass through Ichin, to Tomotada also was granted permission to visit his widowed mother, and so he set out on his mission. Winter had already come, the countryside was covered with snow, and through his horse was among the most powerful in the Lord of Noto's stable. The young man was forced to proceed slowly. On the second day of his journey, he found himself in the mountain districts where settlements were few and far between. Anxiety was increased by the onslaught of a heavy snowstorm. His horse was showing signs of extreme fatigue. In the very moments of his despair, however, Tomotada caught sight of courage among the willows on a nearby hill. Reaching the dwelling, he knocked loudly on the storm doors which had been closed against the wind. Presently the doors opened, and an old woman appeared, who cried out with compassion at the sight of noble Tomotada. Ah, how pitiful, traveling in such weather, and alone. Come in, young sir, come in. What a relief to find welcome. These lonely passes, thought Tomotada, as he led his horse to the shed behind the cottage. After seeing that the horse was well sheltered and fed, Tomotada entered the cottage, where he beheld an old woman and her husband, and a young girl as well, warming themselves by a fire of bamboo splints. The old couple respectfully requested that he be seated, and proceeded to warm some rice wine, prepare food for the warrior. The young girl in the meantime disappeared behind a screen, but not before Tomotada had observed with astonishment that she was extremely beautiful. Though dressed in meanest attire, he wondered how such a beautiful creature could be living in such a lonely and humble place. His thoughts, however, were interrupted by the old man, who had begun to speak. "Honored sir," he replied, "the next village is far from here, and the road is unfit for travel. Unless your quest is of such importance that it cannot be delayed, I would advise you to not force yourself and your horse beyond your powers of endurance. Our hotel is perhaps unworthy of your presence, and we have no comforts to offer. Nevertheless, please honor us by staying under this miserable roof." Tomotada was touched by the old man's words, and secretly he was glad of the chance afforded him to see more of the young girl. Before long, a simple meal was set before him, and the girl herself came from behind the screen to serve the wine. She had changed her dress, and she thought her clothes were still of homespun. Her long, loose hair was neatly combed and smoothed, and she bent to fill up his cup. Tomotada was amazed to see that she was even more beautiful than he had at first thought. She was the most beautiful creature he had ever seen. She moved with a grace and captivated him, and he could not take his eyes from her. The old man spoke apologetically, saying, "Please forgive the clumsy service of my daughter, Green Willow. She has been raised alone in these mountains, and is only a poor, ignorant girl." Tomotada protested that he considered himself lucky indeed to be served by so loving a maiden. Saw that his admiration gaze made her blush, and he left his wine and food untasted before him. Suddenly struck with inspiration, he addressed her in a poem. "As I rode through the winter, I found a flower and thought, here I shall spend the day. But what does the blush of dawn appear when the darkest night is around us?" Without a moment's hesitation, the girl replied, "If my sleeve hides the faint color of dawn, perhaps the morning has truly come, my lord will remain." Oh, how sweet. Then Tomatoda knew that the girl had accepted his admiration, and he was all the more taken by the art of her verse and feelings expressed. Seizing the luck that has brought you here, he thought to himself, and he resolved to ask the old couple to give him the hand of her daughter in marriage, and for Lord of Noto's request.